Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is Mitchell Roulane, the host of the Wrestling Diaries, the podcast show for the average Joe. And what that means is, in case anybody's wondering, it's just a podcast for every man and every woman in society, in life. They don't have to be a billionaire or a movie star or be working on a cure for cancer, although that would be a really awesome thing. In fact, I challenge everyone listening to this or watching it to try to go find a cure for cancer. I really mean this. Anyway, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Pocket Cast, Radio, I don't know if it's Public, Republic, Radio something, and all the other plethoras of platforms that host podcasts where you will find us, The Wrestling Diaries. Also, subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us, share our stuff. If you like us enough, promote us, send donations, whatever you would like. But anyways, I've got a really awesome guest today by the name of Donny, and I don't know your last name.
I'm so awesome. You don't know my last name. Actually, no, it's Cook.
Cook. Donny Cook, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Round of applause. Can't hear it. They're not mine.
And me and him are just meeting each other. Well, a lot of people on this show I meet for the first time, but I don't always announce it. But we were meeting for the first time today.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate it. Hanging out with a total stranger, having a conversation about who knows what.
Exactly. It's fun times.
So tell me or us or everyone listening a little bit about yourself, Donny. What's going on in your life? What's your profession? What makes you tick?
Sounds good. Well, so I, of course, like you said, Donny Cook. I am a nurse by background.
Okay, cool.
So I've got my bachelor's in nursing. I've got my master's in healthcare administration. I have done almost everything you can think of in healthcare when it comes to nursing wise. I've been in the field for a little over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. But I landed.
When did you start when you were like 14?
Thank you. My new favorite person until we leave. But no, I work in hospice now, actually.
Oh, wow.
Which is like really cool. I've been doing hospice care for about 10 years.
Yeah. So for people that don't know what that is, tell people what hospice is.
So hospice, and I actually wanted to do that, so thank you. Hospice is actually taking care of people in their end of life plans. But so many people thought in the days past that hospice was who you called in those very, very, very last moments, and they came in and they helped you cross over or pass or die or however you wanted to say it. But hospice has evolved so much that that's only a small part of what hospice does now. Hospice is actually more about providing a quality end-of-life experience. So it's about the time between there's nothing else that we can do for you and you're going to die to that moment of death, making that time frame, if it's days, weeks, or months, making that quality so you can actually enjoy life during that time. So it's really cool that they've taken this whole new mindset around hospice, so much so that several years ago, actually, the National Hospice organization that kind of comes up with all the ideas and training and stuff, they came up with a new mantra saying, hospice, it's about life.
Right.
And
I like
people,
that.
yeah, but people got so freaked out over it. They're like, wait a minute. No, hospice is about death. And it's like, no, there's so much more about the life part and the living part than the death part. That's just a minute piece of it. But that seems to be what most people focus on now. So my job, I have one of those desk jobs in hospice now, and I help oversee the quality and the compliance and the education and all that stuff for a national hospice.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, my grandmother was in a hospice. She was dying from leukemia once upon a time, and they took really good care of her. Everybody was really sweet. The facility that she was in specifically, I think it was in Shelby County.
Okay.
Somewhere in Shelby County. But off of, I think, Pelham Parkway is that road.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was taken really good care of. And, I never had any complaints. Neither did the rest of the family. And
yeah, it's an awesome service, and I'll just make a plug right now just for hospices in general. About 50% of the people that die every year take advantage of hospice. So there's about roughly 2 million people that die every year that could qualify for hospice services, because it's paid for by Medicare, Medicaid, all that. It's 100% paid for. but only about half the people that qualify for it or could use the services actually use it. Most of them because they don't know what it is. And that's even healthcare professionals don't truly understand what hospice is. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So I'm kind of glad I got that little plug in there.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm glad you did. When I used to work for Dr. Koenig, he's a doctor in the local area. There's this gentleman that actually worked for hospice as well, and we had him on some muscle stem therapy, and he was face down, and he had these stems on his back to help stimulate because he was having back issues. And I came in there to check on him, so he hadn't seen me yet. And I was talking to him, and I was like, "Hey, is this okay? Is it on too high? Do we need to adjust anything? You doing okay?" I was just checking on him, just a general protocol. And he goes, "Wow." He's like, "You're not the doctor." And I was like, "Oh, no. I'm his assistant. I'm like the office manager." And he was like, "Oh, okay. I didn't meet you." He's like, "You got a really great voice." He's like, "I can't see." It was so funny because he's laying face down. His shirt is up. He's got all these little pads on him that are shocking his muscles. And he was like, "I work at a hospice. And I feel like you with that voice, you could really like come in and you could like read to people or sing to them and help, ease them on." And I was like, "So what are you saying? Like, I have the voice to help speak people into the afterlife?" And then I was making a joke, and I was like, "That's it, Mr. Smith. Just close your eyes and feel that warmth, that light. Just go towards that light."
Either that or a hypnotist.
Right.
Yeah, you can make a really good.
Somebody made a joke, and they're like, "Yeah," or you could just like you'd end up like making like healthy regular people just die if they're like listening to you and just fall in the line. I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah. You saying that reminded me of that when I was working in the doctor's office.
But yeah, so that's kind of like my work life. And I don't know how much our mutual friend shared with you about my life, but it's really interesting that you brought up finding a cure for cancer. So 5.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Oh, with like what kind of cancer was it?
So it's neuroendocrine tumors. So I actually have over 100 tumors in my body.
Holy crap.
Yeah. They're like really small.
Yeah.
But I'm on a regimen that works for me.
Okay.
There are no cures according to, my doctors and stuff. So I'm just being maintained.
Now you're seeing a specialist, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Lord, yes. But I'm doing really good for having 100 tumors in my body. But yeah, so 5.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, liver, small intestine, and then the mesentery gunk around my small intestine.
Wow.
So,
stage 4, that's pretty up there, right?
Yeah, that's the end. That's the top.
That's the, wow.
All that means though, I mean, people look at stage 4 and it's like, "Oh my gosh, that means you're going to die." No, that means that it started in one place in your body and it went somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it can still be controlled at stage 4, which thankfully mine is controlled through a lot of trying to live right and eat right and a whole lot of prayer. Just not even going to lie there, a whole lot of prayer. But yeah, so I've been very blessed with that. Most people with this type of cancer, the average lifespan is 5 to 7 years. My doctor still doesn't understand how I work full time and keep going full time and do all the extra stuff that I do. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, no, you truly are blessed. Like I never would have ever guessed that you had any kind of ailment, any sickness. You look super healthy.
Yeah.
You look good. Like,
well, thank you.
And
most people are like that. Most people, when I say, "Oh yeah, I got stage 4 cancer. I've got like over 100 tumors in my body," and they're like, "You're lying." I'm like, "No, I'm not. Like, I can show you the scans. Like, my liver looks like Swiss cheese. It's not pretty." But yeah, it's really amazing, like where I was personally, professionally, mentally. I mean, just as a whole person then at that moment that I was diagnosed and where I am today. It's like having that someone tell you that and going through the journey and all the testing and the treatments and trying this and failing and trying that and failing. It brings you to a different place in your life and a different appreciation for life.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So
absolutely.
It's pretty awesome.
I think it's really, I mean, not to be weird about this, but sometimes I feel like the people that are dying, air quotes, they are actually living so much more than people that aren't dying, air quotes. But I try to tell everybody, I mean, hey, we're all dying.
Oh yeah.
We're all like and not to be grim or dark about this, because there's like a silver lining here, but the moment that you're born, you have like an hourglass that turns upside down, and every granular is like tipping down for like the moment you're out of here. And so some people might be on their way out faster and some maybe not, but everybody's dying. You know?
Yeah. And it's amazing to me how some people, like I've had, and I've shared this with a lot of people. So, and if any of y'all are watching, then like, you know how I feel about you. But I've actually had friends. No,
shout out.
No, yeah, exactly. Not in a good way. I've had friends that, because of the diagnosis, have actually said, I don't want to hang out with you anymore.
No, they're not real friends then.
Like, I don't want to be a friend with someone who's just going to get really sick and die on me. Like they actually said, it's not fair to me that you're going to die. I don't want to get close to you and then you die. And I'm like, but hang on. Like, even if I didn't have cancer, like I could, knock on wood, I don't, but have a car wreck or you could have a car wreck or something major happen. We don't know what the next moment holds. So just because I know, what's going on with me and what's kind of chipping away at my body, like for someone to look at that and say, oh, well, I don't want to be around you because you're going to be a downer. And I'm like, actually, I think I'm a lot more fun to be around than most people, just because I know how to enjoy life. Like I know how to look at the little things in life and have a blast and love it and really get into it. And I'm really not afraid to go after something if I want it, because it's like, I know the meaning of a finite amount of time. I know, there was a time where my doctor said, 2 years, you're out of here. Like 2 years, you're going to be done. You're going to go downhill really quick. That was 3.5 years ago, by the way. But so to have someone tell you that, like put a stop date on your life, it makes you look at everything different. And, I used to be a little bit of a procrastinator. No, that's the best cure for it, is to be told you got cancer and you're going to die, because you realize you don't have that play of time to say, I need to put that off, because you realize this moment means everything, absolutely everything.
Yeah. Wow. I can't believe. Yeah. Those people that said all that stuff, they're not real friends. They might not be real people. You know what I mean? They're just assholes.
Exactly.
Hey,
Thank you.
Matt, I can't be friends with you anymore, man, because I know that you're dying and I just can't do it anymore.
And then I'm an asshole.
Exactly.
Well, that's a given.
Well, yeah, some people, yeah.
Yeah, that's what people are. That's just, it's selfish. Really, that's just what it is. It's selfish. How you're not making me feel the way I want to feel, so I can't deal with you. I mean, you don't have time for those people.
Exactly.
And it's crazy too that somebody would say like that, because you're very energetic. I feel like you're infectious. Like I want to get up and do stuff right now. I don't even want to sit here and have this conversation. I want to go outside and pick flowers and go like work out or something.
Yeah, maybe. But no, I mean, I like to be that way. Like I like to exude like joy and like enjoy your life again, because
sure,
who knows when it's going to end.
It's a gift.
Enjoy what you've got. And I tell people, people will say, oh, but Donnie, you don't understand how, I understand you've got cancer and all, but, and then they'll like give me their, I know it's kind of like funny.
The but is so funny.
But they're like, but I got this going on and this going on. I'm like, there's always somebody worse than you.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't care how bad my life gets or your life gets, somebody has got it worse than you. I'm reminded of that every 28 days when I go in to get my shots at the oncology clinic. It's like I see the people who are struggling with similar diagnosis to me, and I see where they are. And, we're all on kind of the same schedule. So I see them, month after month. And I see some of them decline and I see some of them stop showing up. And it's like, and I see some of them get better and graduate, which is great. But it's like, there's always somebody worse off. So I really can't have a massive pity party. I do it every once in a while.
Sure, yeah.
Because
it's only human.
Yeah, exactly. It's reality. But it's like, you don't live there very long. And it's like, it could be a whole lot worse. And I don't want it to be a whole lot worse. So I need to get off my tail and go do something.
Yeah, I think that boils down to what I'm always trying to tell people about, and it's the word perspective, right? People act like that and they don't think about stuff like that because they just don't have perspective. It's like what you were saying, like there's something so much more worse that's happening to somebody. And I mean, this is a huge world. There's 7+ billion people in it, and there's a lot of people. Like, these first world problems should not exist. It should never be a thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's kids that complain about their Snapchat app not coming up quick enough, and they get mad and they throw tantrums. Meanwhile, there's some child in an African country who's playing with sticks and rocks in streets filled with piss and they're just living their life. That's their life. And then people sit back and they freak out about, like, you know, their social media. So,
exactly. Or not getting enough likes.
Right. Yeah.
Or somebody unfriending them.
They got to get that dopamine, man. They got to get that quick hit of feel-good chemicals in the brain. I know.
It's like a whole other type of drug.
Yeah,
which
it is.
I don't know if you've looked at that, but there's actually studies out there that say that, like, the likes and stuff on social media is as addictive as some, like, street drugs and things like that.
Yeah. I've read a long. There was an article written by some neurobiologist talking about and he wrote it about social media. It's the first time he ever got in the limelight because he started writing about social media. But he was talking about that. He talked about the concept of the dopamine goes through the brain, the likes and stuff like that, and he said it could be as dangerous as being addicted to heroin. That's what he compared it to. I was like, wow, that's insane.
That's why first of the year, I noticed a lot of people, especially like a lot of the celebrities and a lot of the, what do they call them? Like the content creators.
The influencers.
Influencers, yeah, social media influencers. There was several of them that took fast off of social media for like a 20-day fast or something at the first of the year. And when they came back, they were talking about, like, how it changed their life because they weren't constantly looking to say, okay, what do I need to create now? Or, you know, how many likes can I get if I do this? Or what if I wear this? Or what if I don't wear that? Or what if I do this? And it's like, you know, they're constantly focused on what can I do to get someone to like me and that's a whole other probably podcast and conversation is in the truth of the matter is, like, people who are, like, so focused on that, probably deep down they have an issue with liking themselves, which is a whole other, like, group of studies that's been done, and which is just kind of crazy. But
and plus it's all of it's artificial, right? It's not a genuine, like, I mean, the friends on your Facebook aren't your real friends. I mean, maybe some of them are, but
they're not.
Yeah, no. Some of them might be. Some of them might be, but I mean,
Cleo, you're not my real friend.
you're not his real friend. But you know, everything that happens there is, like, it's artificial. Like, you're talking to people and stuff, and, like, I feel like what is missing in today's culture and generation is that human contact, right? We're
forgetting. We're not learning how to do that. We're not learning how to be social. I went to a training session. It was last week, and it was like a group of business owners and leaders from around Birmingham, and they were talking about the struggles that they're facing right now. And one of the biggest struggles that they're facing right now is people don't know how to interact with another human being for a customer service related job. And they learned this even more so in the interview because they don't know how to have conversations, just a general one-on-one conversation like this in an interview.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And it's like people are forgetting how to be just a human being and do the basic things that we do, like for social. And it's like, it blows my mind because it's like somebody can be this huge, like social media person and, like, all out there and, like, just all bubbly and stuff, but you see them in person and they can't talk, can't, like, do nothing, and it's like,
yeah. I dated someone once like that. They were, like, just a superstar on social media, and then when I met them, they were just like this shell, and I was it was like finding out Santa Claus wasn't real. I was like, what is going on here? All these pictures and these posts, and then this person couldn't even have a conversation with it. They wouldn't even look me in the eye. And I was like, what is happening here?
Put a ring light around your face, and they might be able to, like, stare in your face.
They
were
like a robot. And just so, like, I'm clear, like, I'm not trying to just not, like, social media has its good points. It's a good way to connect to people that you can't see every day, or see what your brother's doing who lives in Alaska, and you want to keep up with him and his kids, or, you know, it has that good merit to it. I have friends from all around the world now, and it's a good good way for me to keep up with them and see what's going on with them without, actually being there and getting to have a lunch with them or a coffee with them. So it has its good points, but I think where the line should be drawn is where people just make it so much of their real life. I feel like it should just be like something that you do on the side, right? Like
Exactly.
there should never be a scenario where you're out with a group of friends, you're going out for a luncheon or a dinner or somewhere, hanging out at a park, and then everybody's around, and then you're just doing this.
Oh yeah.
Your face is down, and you're on your phone, and everybody's like, you have real human beings that are flesh and bone around you, and you're on this little digital computer box.
But when we used to do that thing called going out to eat, you remember when that used to be a thing?
Yeah.
Like when you could go out in public
before,
and
before COVID. Uncle COVID.
Uncle COVID. Yeah, Aunt Rona.
Yeah, Aunt Rona.
But people did that all the time. It, again, completely amazed me to be like out for dinner with a friend, and it's like you would look at tables of people, and like everybody at the table is like in their phone.
Yeah,
some of them
texting
and chatting with each other at the same table on their phones. So I've actually got some friends at church when we go out to eat, and it's a family that goes to church there. Wonderful family. When they go out to eat, and anybody that goes with them, when you get to the restaurant, you take your phone, you put it on do not disturb, silence, and everybody stacks their phones in the center of the table. And it's not one of those, the first person to look at their phone has to pay or anything. It's like, no, you're not looking at your phone. We are going to dedicate this time to family time and having conversation. And it's mandatory, like in-person socialization. And they've got kids of all ages. And it's absolutely wonderful because they have grown to respect that. And they can actually carry on a conversation with anybody of any age, generation. And it's wonderful.
Those kids are probably more interesting than most adults that are walking around now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
They can have actually hold a adult conversation or just a general conversation. What is adult conversation, right?
Yeah, exactly. You put adult in front of something and
that's
people...
great. Like that's the kind of family that I want to fashion for myself, like something like that. I want engagement. I want debate. I want learning and education. And, that stuff is beautiful. It's wonderful. And then on the side, you can goof off on your social media and stuff. I just feel like it should just be like a side pleasure, right? It's like somebody who likes, like me. Here's a perfect example of this. I love video games. I like playing games. I have family members and friends that are super huge gamers, and they play all the time. And I like to play with them, and like we get games together and stuff like that. But I don't do it all the time.
Right.
And it's just because it's not, I guess it's just, I'm not like a gamer per se. But when I do like play it, I have a lot of fun with it. But I wouldn't want to do it all the time because I feel like it completely defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
My ex-roommate, huge gamer, PC games, all this stuff. And at one point, when I was going through a weird stage of my life, I just hung out with him and played games all the time. And at first, it was super fun. Then after that, I just felt like really run down. I was like, I feel like I should be doing something else. Playing these games all the time is not conducive to, I don't know.
But I think that goes for,
as a human being.
I think that goes for anything we do in life. If you dedicate 100% of who you are, not that dedication is a bad thing. I'm not going there. But if you dedicate like all of you into trying to just do this and nothing else and just not pulling yourself away from it every once in a while. I mean, even people that like teach like good diets and good exercise programs and stuff like that, you need a day away from it.
Oh, yeah.
In order for it to work right, in order for you to be your best, eventually you have to step away from that thing that you're working on to give your body, your mind, your spirit a rest from it.
Yeah, it's good for your psychology. Like if you all work and no play make Jack a dull boy. That's the real thing.
I've heard that many times.
It's really good. I mean, like, and also I feel like my opinion of this is like you should earn rewards like that, right? Like
yes.
If you want to goof off on your social media for hours, or you want an ice cream sundae, or you want to whatever, play video games for a full day, then you should earn it. You should do all this hard work, do the stuff you don't want to do, struggle through that, and then reward yourself at the end. And I'm telling you, everybody listening or watching this, it tastes so much sweeter.
It does.
It tastes so much better. And it's weird, and you're like, I don't know. It's just you just have to get through that storm, and then on the other side, it's clear sailings and sunsets, and beach bunnies and all that.
Rainbows and unicorns.
Right.
All
confetti,
that. Yeah, confetti and
you
glitter.
You've got to like sail through the storm first. I don't know. It's weird that the way we're programmed that way, but it's
But it is society again, because you said like you go through the storm, you go through the trial, you go through the trouble, and then you earn that. And again, this is another one of those that could be like an entire podcast on its own. But so much so, and I think we're getting better, but so much so, we're in a culture generation right now where it's that participation trophy
yes
thing. It's like, I showed up, what do I get? And it's like, yeah.
Oh, you showed up. Good job. Pat on the head.
Exactly.
Here's a little crappy trophy.
Right. But I mean, it's almost, I don't know. I think there's a large portion of our generation, and I could be wrong, and that was something else that came up in that leadership meeting, was there's so many people in the generation, the workforce that's coming in now, and even some that's been in the workforce for a while, but they're learning this kind of mentality of, okay, I'm here, I'm doing the bare minimum, I deserve something extra. And it's like, I come from the mentality of, I'm going to work my tail off and do extra without being asked. And, I'm going to work to excel. I'm not going to brag on myself. I hope to God you notice what I'm doing. I'm going to earn that extra. I've never expected anything just to be handed to me. And because I've never been really good at accepting that, like, if I didn't earn it, I have a hard time like taking it. But I was raised by my grandparents, so they instilled that in me, is like, yeah, nothing comes for free and nothing comes cheap.
I think that's really important for growth for the person. Like, it helps you grow and evolve as a person, as an individual, doing it that way. It teaches you, like I'm built that way too. I love being around people that I know are smarter than me, that are stronger than me, that are better than me in some facet. And it fascinates me. It doesn't like intimidate me. It makes me curious, and I get more and more curious, and I keep wanting to learn, and that's how you grow. And if you're like those other people that just, you get handed things, you're not challenging yourself. If you're not challenged, then you're not going to keep reaching for something. You're not going to keep chasing anything. You're just going to stand still, and still water grows stagnant.
Exactly. I actually heard that in a like one of my teaching things that I listen to every week, and they were talking about that whole concept of, the still water, growing, becomes stagnant, and it gets germs and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Slimy. Yeah,
it's just gross.
Thing. Yeah, it's super gross. So moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen, mix that water.
There you go. That's like
poetry in motion.
That was just gorgeous. I love how you came to that.
Heck yeah. You should be a motivational speaker, I think.
I used to do that.
Really? You need to do it again.
Yeah.
And you got a great backdrop. You got the cancer, and you're energetic, and I feel like this would like really wake up a lot of people.
Yeah, I used to do that. So I've thought about writing a book.
You should definitely do that too.
Being a nurse, and then like getting cancer and having to be on the other side of the gamut of receiving healthcare. I did not realize how hard it was to navigate in healthcare. And for somebody that does not know how to navigate, they don't know how to be their own advocate in life, especially in healthcare, people will run all over you.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Like,
makes sense.
I mean, unless you're with a really good group of people that really do care about you and your well-being, and they want you to be you and have the life that you want to have, if you don't have that, then you're kind of like a next. And I hate that. And I don't want to sound like healthcare has gotten bad, but we don't have enough people in healthcare. We don't have enough doctors and nurses, healthcare facilities to really take care of our population the way that we need to be taken care of. And so it's kind of expedited, and it's like, we are getting better to where we can do things faster. But I remember, when I first started as a nurse, when you would go in for open heart surgery or for a heart cath, you would stay in the hospital for 3 days. Now you can have it and either go home same day or the next morning. You're not even in the hospital for 24 hours. And so we are advancing, but also I think that, we learn and we're conditioned by the environment around us that it's almost like an assembly line somewhat. and we don't always get treated as a person. So if you don't know how to advocate for yourself in healthcare, you may get pushed down an avenue of a treatment plan that you really didn't want to do, because you will agree with it before you realize I didn't want to do that. And so I've really thought about like writing a book that kind of comes back and says, learn how to advocate for yourself, be knowledgeable, help the doctors, help the nurses, help the healthcare professionals, help you have the kind of life that you want to have. Be in control of your health. I think that's why so many people are non-compliant with so many things. We got so many people that are obese, or they have, some kind of chronic condition that they're not, they don't do the treatment plan. They're not compliant with what the doctor asked them to do because they don't buy into it. They had no say into what was going on. And so they don't buy into it. They don't do it. They start getting sicker, and eventually they die early, or they have other complications. But if they were a partner in their health, if they knew how to partner and have those conversations, maybe they could actually be healthier and not have all of that. So that's been in my mind for years to work on something like that, honestly.
God, you got to do that. I feel like that should be your calling, right? Something speaking to you. You got to follow that. I tell you this right now, when you start writing this book, you got to do. I will promote the crap out of it, man.
Sounds good.
I'll promote it on the show. I'll promote it and I'm really good at marketing stuff to people. So yeah, I'll put it out there. Because you never know what your book could save someone's life or multiple people's lives, or change someone's life.
Exactly.
And so, I feel like it's pretty important.
Good deal.
You got to do that. I'm going to check in on you from time to time, make sure you're doing that.
Sounds good. We'll have to do another one of these and talk about the progress of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we got off on some tangents there, but they were good. They were good tangents. They were really good.
I don't know how we got to all those places, but that was fun.
Right. I love it. I love being in Milwaukee and ending up in Italy. It's great. But
Italy's a little dirty now and then.
That's what I've heard. Won't go there. That's what I heard. But so on your having cancer, what are the treatments that you take? You said you take injections?
I do. So
okay, what's that all about? Tell us about that.
So there is it's like a hormone type injection. So the type of cancer that I have, the easiest way to describe it,
because it's in the endocrine system, right?
Right. And so basically my hormones mutate. And the body's way of kind of rectifying or...
Wait, hold on. So would you say you're a mutant, like the X-Men? Matt, we got one of the X-Men here.
I wish.
You're a superhero, man. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. No, but I do like the T-shirts that says, I fight cancer. So what's your superpower?
Heck
but,
yeah.
But no, so my hormones, some of them mutate. And so the body says, oh, that's not good hormone. We don't want that to go anywhere and do anything. And so it encapsulates that in my body. And so for me, it chose my liver and my small intestine and the mesentery around that. And so, but when my body gets stressed, it releases those hormones and they go somewhere in my body and cause my body to act dumb. Okay. And it could be anything from like my appetite or, being a little bit more tired than normal. The biggest one for me is pain. Like my pain receptors are like completely screwed up. And so I live in constant pain.
Like just everywhere? Just like
no, it's all in like the liver, like abdominal area.
Okay, like your trunk area.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but everybody's like, if you go to the healthcare places, they're like on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being little pain and 10 being the worst pain you've ever felt. How I live around a 2, 3.
Okay.
So, and that's a constant. I'm on a regimen for treating the pain that I've been doing for a very long time, and it works to maintain it. Without it, I can't function at all, which is really weird. I'm a completely different person off of my pain meds and off of my treatments. But the shots that I get every 28 days, what those do is they reduce the amount of hormones that my body create, and it kind of intensifies the shell around the tumors or where my body's trying to fix it. So it doesn't secrete those if I do happen to get stressed or my body gets stressed. So it's cool. I mean, it's an awesome thing. It's the only like long-term or long-term treatment plan for this type of cancer. It's fairly new. One of the first people that kind of like was in the limelight with this type of cancer was Steve Jobs.
Okay, wow.
So that's what he passed away from. His was in his pancreas, though. So his was pancreas and I think small intestine, where mine's liver and small intestine. But he actually stopped, I believe, doing like the routine treatments like I do, and tried to change the pH of his body, and was doing like the coffee ground enema things and baking soda stuff. And it was just kind of, and it stressed his body, which is not good for us.
Right.
So
Accelerates, maybe.
exactly. So, but yeah, so those shots every 28 days are just wonders for me. But I've tried like other things. I mean, they've tried chemo and radiation and all that, and it all made it worse. Like every time I've done anything, there was even a new experimental treatment that came out about 3 years ago that was trialed over in the UK, and they brought it to the United States. And I was one of the first ones to jump on it after it came here. And it was supposed to be 4 treatments, and I took 2 treatments. And I was so sick, I could barely get around. I mean, it just destroyed me. And the tumor started growing. So we stopped that and just went back to the shots, and they've actually started shrinking. Over the last year and a half, the tumors have all started to slowly shrink, which is pretty amazing because I don't take meds to make them shrink. So again, that's kind of like prayer, good living, and I think a positive attitude like lends a lot to that.
When it comes to the pain stuff, have you ever thought about, do you, off of your regular medications, do you take anything else outside for your pain? Like, ibuprofen or any kind of muscle relaxer or anything like that?
No, I mean, Aleve or something,
Okay.
but
Gotcha. Have you ever tried, you should try CBD oil.
So I've had a lot of people talk to me about that. Even my doctor has talked to me about that. Now, of course, being a nurse in, they kind of frown upon.
I know where this is going.
Some of that stuff. However, at one point in my life, I was really, really struggling with nausea. Like I said, the hormones your endocrine system controls everything in your body, just about it. And so I went through about a 6 to 9 month period where I stayed nauseated. About 6 to 9 months. About 2 months into that, someone recommended CBD oil. And so I actually went and got some, and I found that just the smallest drop, I mean, I didn't even take enough, like the recommended dose. I could take just 1 drop and put under my tongue, and the nausea would go away right away. And it was just the most amazing thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of incredible clinical research that involves medical cannabis, medical marijuana, CBD, THC even, which I think some legislation is getting passed now for them to legalize medicinal purposes for medical marijuana in Alabama. And I'm like, finally, because this stuff is saving people's lives in other places. What are we doing?
They're actually, earlier this year, they actually did pass legislation, and they've granted a few people the rights to start growing in Alabama on controlled plots of land that's being kind of managed by the state a little bit.
They're keeping an eye on it.
They are, but they're seeing how well it grows here in the state, and like if we would need to grow it here or somewhere else.
Oh, it grows really great here.
I'm sure.
And I don't know this from personal experience. I just know of people.
Yeah, I was going to say,
wink.
but like I've got some very close people in my life that are involved in this project, and it's pretty amazing, like everything. So I think, Alabama, we get talked about really bad because usually we're like behind the 8 ball on everything. But I think this is one of those things that we're actually stepping up to the plate and saying this might be truly beneficial, and we might actually bring this to the forefront soon for like appropriate treatment, and like for things like cancer. And I do know on a larger scale, they have started some trials for pain, nausea, and just other stuff with this type cancer, and different forms of, like with just a THC or the without, or however you want to do it. So, I'm all for it. I mean, as far as the medical side of it, I think it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I need to get you in touch with a really good friend of mine. And his name's Dr. Mo Rengen. He's a GI doctor from Pennsylvania. And he is a huge proponent and advocate for medical marijuana. He actually took a specialized medical course opposite his own like medical practices to get certified in because in Pennsylvania it's legal medically, and so he's been sending like he's been putting a lot like or he can't write a prescription for it obviously because it's a plant, but he's been doing recommendations for a lot of his patients for CBD and THC, and he's I mean he was on the podcast. He talked about a couple of like miracle stories about people curing their ailments. There was one person that had I don't know what form of cancer it is. I'm paraphrasing a lot of this, so don't.
No, you're good.
But I don't know what cancer it was, but they started taking THC medically, and then they ended up like the tumors went away, and they're like cancer free. And he was telling me about this, and I was like, why is stuff like this not like major league published? Why isn't this on CNN? Why isn't this out there? Like,
because of the pharmaceutical industry.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's all there is to that. There are so many published stories out there of cancer, of Alzheimer's, of seizure disorders, of autism. I mean,
fibromyalgia.
Oh yeah, where people who live in pain or Parkinson's disease. Right. Oh, I've seen so much with Parkinson's.
My second guest on the Wrestling Diaries is a gentleman named Roger. His mother-in-law suffers from Parkinson's, like really bad, and her personal doctor recommended her taking pure CBD oil, and then she started taking it, and him and his wife were telling me that her episodes, her shakes have like lessened by like 70% and like she's more functional and cognizant. And I was like, wow, just from taking, like, she's not taking anything. He's like, yeah, she's just doing the CBD. He recommended it to her, and then they got some, and I was like, man, this needs to be spread like oh, this could saving people's lives. I mean, this isn't that what people should be talking about?
It is. I think so many people though they don't fully understand what it is. Like they hear medical marijuana and they think people's like passing around a joint at the clinic or something, and they don't realize that it's processed in a certain way, and it's a very pure oil, and it's not something that maybe if you drink the whole bottle of oil you might get high or something.
Oh my God.
Which would be
you just melt into the floor, Matt.
Exactly. But I mean, and a lot of it, like it has none of the THC, the agent that actually makes you feel high.
Yeah, people don't realize that. Yeah.
And so it's not an excuse to get high. It's, as so many people I think associate with it, and that's where it gets its bad name, is it's like anything else we do. I mean, there's so many things that we like. There's one medicine that we use, Coumadin, for heart patients to thin their blood. It's rat poison.
Oh, really? Wow.
Essentially,
I didn't know
it's
that.
rat poison. Same kind of, that's why it kills rats. It's because they eat a lot of it and it makes them bleed out. But I mean, it's kind of like the same chemical makeup, kind of, sort of. But, anything can be used for, it's like you can use your powers for good or for evil here. And we just have to keep an open mind. And I think the more that we keep an open mind, there's so much out there that is good for us and good for the nation and good for our communities and good for our, I'm a holistic type person. So body, spirit, soul, mind, the whole 9 yards. I think that there's so much out there that's positive for us if we keep an open mind and we look for that. You're going to find whatever you look for, right? So if you look for the positives in life, if you look for the positives in what's around you, you're going to find them. If you look for the negative, you're going to find it. And so
seek ye and ye shall find.
Exactly. And so you really have to keep an open mind to say, okay, where's the good in this? Because I honestly believe there's something good in everything. And then, and I always tell people, if you don't see the good in the situation, become the good in the situation, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, see? Like that'd be on a t-shirt. You got to do it, man. You got to write this book.
T-shirt.
You got to be a motivational speaker. Yeah. I'll come to your seminar. I'll promote your book. We'll cross-promote each other.
Sounds good.
On platforms.
We'll have another podcast that's on that one. And Yeah.
I feel like really what it boils down to is people just need to educate themselves, right?
Oh,
like,
yes.
just really, I feel like a little cynicism is pretty good. Don't listen to everything everybody tells you. Go research. One thing people, when they pull their phone out, they get on social media and waste their time. You literally have all of human information. You have this digital library that you can get to any title, anything, any piece of content like that, like the snap of a finger. And you could use that for educating yourself. You could learn a new language or learn about the benefits of medical marijuana, for example.
Exactly.
Just do it. Like research, like study, educate, grow.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what I'm trying to
crazy.
promote to people. I'm trying to tell people to do that.
When I was in 4th grade, Miss Moore, God rest her soul, loved her. But I remember going back and talking to her after graduation and after we got the phones the way they are now and everything, and the way the internet is. And I remember, asking her, why can't we have more open book tests? Why can't I use a calculator for math? And she's like, you are not going to carry a calculator around with you everywhere you go. And it's like, we literally have access to basically all of the knowledge that's out there. Some's not true and whatever, but that's a whole other story. I don't think people, when they read something, we also have to research it to make sure that we're being told the truth. You can't believe everything that you read on Facebook.
Right.
I mean,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
Well,
That's where I get all my news from.
No, I mean, even Abraham Lincoln, he posted last week on his news feed.
Oh, I wonder how he's doing nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
Good old Honest Abe.
But no, I think, if people do use it, read something, one thing a day, educate yourself on one thing a day, it would be so amazing. Which some of my friends laugh at me when I get ready in the morning. I've got like the Amazon Alexa thing, and
I've got the Google. Hey, Google.
Oh yeah. So I listen to news, and so I listen to news that's like far left, far right, and like kind of sort of in the middle. So it's like I'm listening to the news, and like I'll hear the exact same story told, but like
with a different spin on it.
Exactly.
Beer goggled glasses.
Oh gosh, it's hilarious. But I started doing that several months ago because I'm like, I can kind of figure out where the truth is.
Somewhere around the middle.
Yeah, you figure out the little pieces that everybody says, and it's like, okay, that's probably the truth. And then everything else is kind of a spin of it.
Well, I feel like a lot like people that are searching for the truth and information in this generation, they don't even really watch the news anymore. Like people go to people go to YouTube and go to podcast actually to find like this. What I'm doing here, this is the medium of the future. This is information, media, news of the future. This is people go to like someone like Joe Rogan, who's a comedian and talks about UFC fighting, to get information on politics and science and health. And he's just an average Joe, right? Not really. I mean, he's a millionaire, but
he's a rich average Joe.
Right, he's a rich average Joe. But I mean, this is media news of the future. It's this, and people, and some of it might be not correct or wrong or whatever, but what's great about that is you can choose, because there's so many different platforms, right? It is not just black and white. It is not just ABC or NBC. Like you have a plethora of different like pieces of information that you can consume to find out, like to search out what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm doing. Like me and Matt are on a mission. We're on a mission right now. We're missionaries.
It's a good mission. I like y'all's mission.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, we're going to get to the point. Oh, man. Time has just melted. This has been a fun podcast. This guy, I got to get him on like once every month.
I can do it. I love it.
Heck yeah.
This is awesome.
But now I get to the point where I try to get, and really, I mean, you've talked about a lot of things that you're wrestling with, man. You're wrestling with cancer. It's one of the biggest foes in the world, right? And a lot of the other things that you're dealing with. I feel like I don't even know if I should even really ask the question, Matt. I don't know, but I'll ask anyways.
Yeah,
what
ask
are you,
anyway.
Donny Cook? What are you personally right now wrestling with in your life that you're trying to overcome? Besides all the other stuff that you just talked about, what is it? What's something that you're fighting with? What's the demons in your closet and the monsters on your bed?
Yeah, honestly, I think the biggest thing that I fight with right now in life is having grace for people.
What do you mean? What is that?
Well, I think people have forgotten how to disagree with someone and then still like them or love them.
Oh, right. Okay.
I think as a people, we have forgotten how to have common courtesy and respect for people. And that just, the one thing that just like really chafes my rear end, I mean, for everything else that's going on in my life, it really bothers me that people don't give a little bit of grace to someone who may have a different opinion or look a little different or things of that nature. People want to be given that grace, but they don't want to give that grace. And so that's like the one, outside of everything else, that's like the one thing that I kind of have made like part of my other little mission, is just helping people to see that, we can have differences and we can, look different, think different, agree different. You can be Trump, I can be Biden or Mickey Mouse.
No, you don't need
whoever.
No one ever needs to be Biden. Ever.
But I mean, we can disagree on stuff is what I'm saying. And it doesn't make me a bad person or you a bad person or anything of that nature. We're human and that's okay. And we need to give people graces.
Let me ask this question real quick. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, go for it.
Have you been guilty of not doing that before?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Honestly, when Trump first became president, I bashed that man like nobody's business. And then I just had to come to the realization that, as a person, I think he's kind of rough around the edges and horrible in some ways, but he's a really good businessman and he's done some really good things for the country.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this, because you're talking about a fictional character. So what about anybody personally in your life? Friends, family, colleagues, etc.?
Probably not nearly as much as I used to. Like, cancer really has changed my viewpoints on that kind of stuff. I mean, really, it has. Like, once I was diagnosed with cancer, like, I totally looked at people different. I looked at the way they were struggling. And people would say, I know mine's not as bad as yours. I shouldn't even be complaining because you've got cancer and I'm just like, struggling with debt or what. I'm like, it's still your struggle.
Sure.
If it's your struggle,
that's what they're wrestling with.
Right. If that's the biggest thing that you're dealing with right now, then you deserve to have grace for that. I can't say you're less, your struggle is any less than mine because you're not dealing with mine. So yours, it may not be as big as mine, but you're not carrying that. You're carrying what you're carrying. And so I need to grant you those graces to say, yeah, it's okay if you act like your thing is just as big as mine, because to you it might be, because you don't know what it's like to carry mine. And so I had to come to that realization, but I do get really, it's giving that grace to people who don't do that. Like, I get really frustrated with people that just can't see that.
Yeah. Have you just tried punching them in the face?
No. I'm too nice for that sometimes.
I'm just messing with you. I'm a silly, crazy guy. But that's really good. So if somebody's watching this right now and like I asked, this is kind of like a new thing I'm doing on the show too. If somebody's watching, some young person, or maybe they're not young at all, but what you're saying, they're a person that's not allowing grace to kind of like mold them and direct them about how to treat people and have perspective. What would you say to them right now? I mean, what if they're asking, or maybe they're not asking, but in here, deep in here, they're like, oh, that is me. But on the outside, they're like, that's not me. Screw those guys.
Exactly. Yeah. Basically, I would just be like, it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to say, you know what? I've thought about this. I heard some crazy guy with a really thick Southern accent talking on this podcast.
And, who you? No
yeah,
way.
Exactly. And he was talking about how he used to think one way and now he thinks another way. And I'm going to change my viewpoint. I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to change how I think or act about this. And that's okay. That doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't make you a weak person. That actually makes you a really pretty awesome human being if you're willing to like read, educate yourself, and then change your viewpoint on something for the better of yourself and those around you. That makes you an awesome person, no matter what people are around you. Because I do think people sometimes label someone as weak because they're changing their mind or changing their opinion about something.
Yeah, I think it's just because it makes them uncomfortable.
Exactly. People don't like change.
That's very true.
But change will strengthen you. Like you said earlier about being in the stagnant water, or the water that doesn't move, it becomes stagnant. Change, that movement, that will make you grow. It will make you a better person. You may grow beyond the people that you're around right now, but that's okay, because do what you're meant to do. Like, listen to your own voice, do what you're meant to do, and remember that you were given grace by somebody at some point in time. You were allowed to be you at some point in time. You need to afford that same grace to someone else.
Woo!
I know that was
Jesus.
too deep for an end. I'm sorry.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Can I get an amen,
I've heard
ladies
of
and
them before.
gentlemen? That was fantastic, Donnie. It was very, very insightful, very deep, very passionate, and very love-filled. I feel like you need to take this energy that you have, and you just got to like stretch it out. You got to sprinkle it all over the place. People need to be just rained down on this kind of stuff, because I mean, it could change people for the better, I think. I mean, like I said, just talking to you for like the last hour now, like I feel, I'm pumped. I want to get out and do something. I got to change the world. I got to do something.
Good deal. Well, y'all are. I really like
you
this.
have a very infectious energy about you, and I hope that never dies out, man. I hope you keep going with that. Let me ask you this in closing. Where do you see yourself, Donny Cook, in 5 years, 10 years? Where do you want to be? What kind of person you want to be? What do you want to look back on and take away from it?
Well, I still want to have the same personality. Like, I still want to be this. I would love to have that book. I would love to have the book like done, maybe a couple of books done. I would love to spread like these viewpoints of who I am and where I am. The biggest thing is I still want to be here. Like in 5 and 10 years, I still want to be here. I still want to be healthy. I would love if I could be cancer free. You know, my doctor says that's not possible. I know anything is possible.
I mean, what does he know?
Yeah, exactly.
Just a doctor.
But I mean, things are getting better. But yeah, I would really love to spread that message. Like, do something or do some things to help spread that message that, you know, you can be positive, you can be happy, you can enjoy your life. It doesn't matter what's going on. You can enjoy life. You can have a good life.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you got to keep doing what you're doing, dude. I implore you to do so. I appreciate you for being on the show.
Absolutely.
Spreading all this awesome gospel to everyone. It's so excellent. You're a fun guy. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
To have you back on again. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Thank you for watching another episode, or listening to another episode, rather, of the Wrestling Diaries, where we find out what people in life, what are they wrestling with, and how they can beat it, and how maybe you can beat the things that you're wrestling with. Because struggle is part of humanity, and it's what makes us beautiful, right? Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the other plethoras, and tell me, what are you wrestling with, and how can you beat it? As always, one love.